Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in film, Devin, and today we're going to be sharing our spoiler-free thoughts, opinions, comments, questions, and concerns of DreamWorks' latest animated film, which is titled The Wild Robot. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to our show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at FilmOptix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. And you can also send us a text message if you go to the episode notes of this episode or any of our other episodes. You're going to see a little link at the very top of the description notes that says send us a text message. Click on that little bad boy and it will generate a text message for you guys to send us some fan mail as well. Devin, what's going on? Happy Taco Tuesday. Can you believe that September is almost over? This is insane to think about.
Yeah, we got one more week, and then it's officially spooky time.
Spooky season. Yeah. Have you been watching any spooky movies to get you in the mood for spooky season?
I need to
Same.
hop on it.
I watched a few. I mentioned before I watched Beetlejuice the original after I saw the second one. I'm halfway through. I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's been a while since I've seen that. I finished, I think I sent it to you like last week or 2 weeks ago. That one scene from the Friday the 13th remake. I actually watched it on the 14th, but as close as I can possibly get.
Yeah, I don't even remember that movie coming out. Just like came and went.
It was pretty good. Like the opening kill was like a slew of camp counselors. And I was like, this is like the longest opening kill I've ever seen in a movie. But it was pretty good altogether. It is a remake, so it does kind of follow those beats almost, especially the ending. The beginning, it kind of just assumes you already know who the original killer was. And Friday the 13th, for anyone who doesn't know, Jason's mom. Sorry, it's been a very, very long time. That's been out for a long time. But yeah, I watched that. I need to get back into Velma. I need to catch up on that. But I've also I'm halfway through The Industry season 2.
Oh, there you go. You're almost caught up to me.
Yeah. So very, very excited for that. But outside of any spooky stuff, have you been playing any spooky games? Are you still playing God of War?
It's about that time. I did just beat God of War. It was a great ending. Very
Heck yeah, man.
Sentimental and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got to figure out what's next.
Yeah, there's a lot out there, man. And I actually started Dead Space, the remake, the other day. Finally got around to buying it. It was like $20. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely get that. I'm on either chapter 2 or chapter 3 of that story. I'm kind of just playing through it, It's crazy, man. I'm like, I've never. It is a scary one.
I hope John Carpenter can end up doing a film adaptation that he always wanted to for that. That would be so cool,
dude. I mean, it's basically Alien. I mean, that's it's really what it's heavily influenced from. But dude, it's crazy. I'm like looking around every turn. I'm like, all right, I think I'm good. And then something pops up from like the top or the bottom. I'm like, whew. It's crazy. But I think I'm going to try to play some more of that this weekend as well and get through that. I don't know what's going to be next, but I'm just trying to focus on that. But yeah, I'm glad you're having a good week. As I've mentioned here to all of our listeners, we are going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts on The Wild Robot. We are recording this early because we were both able to see the film early. So we'd like to thank Universal, a.k.a. DreamWorks, for inviting us to an early screening of The Wild Robot. They gave away some awesome goodies, and I'm so mad at myself. They had the Shadow the Hedgehog posters like out super early. I'm like, this doesn't come out until December 20th.
Wow.
And I accidentally ripped mine. I should have grabbed it after I left, but I was like, oh yeah, I can fit it in my bag.
You see, you can't really risk that after because the good chance it could just be gone. I've had that happen before.
Yeah. So I was like, oh crap, what do I do? They seem to have plenty, so I'm gonna try to go back and snag another one. And if you want one, let me know. I'll snag you one too.
Sure.
It's a really cool poster. I do like that a lot. But yeah, as I mentioned before, we're just gonna get straight into our spoiler-free thoughts of The Wild Robot. So without further delay, we will be right back after this introduction to The Wild Robot.
Oh, okay. Hello. This gosling is yours.
Negative. That gosling stalks me, emits noise, and makes simple tasks more complicated or impossible.
Yeah, they do that. Goslings imprint on the first thing they see, which would be you.
Congratulations!
As far as he's concerned, you're his mother now.
I do not have the programming to be a mother.
No one does. We just make it up.
Without an assigned task, my next priority is to return to factory.
Taking care of him is your task now.
Task acquired. Return mode delayed. A ROZZUM always completes its task.
You're lucky you just have one. As a mother of 7. 6 babies. It's a full-time thing. But it's not all bad. Just mostly bad.
Do you have any information on how to take care of this unit?
They all need to eat, but yours needs to swim and fly. Oh, fly by fall. He's got to leave this island before winter. Or, how do I put this delicately? Yeah, that.
Eat, swim, fly by fall. Or
Patience is the key.
It's okay, Mom. I'm alive.
Oh, yay.
And we are back with our spoiler-free review of The Wild Robot. This film is directed by Chris Sanders and written by Chris Sanders and Peter Brown and stars Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Kit Connor, Mark Hamill, and Catherine O'Hara, just to name a few. My gosh, this film. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. The synopsis is as follows. After a shipwreck, an intelligent robot called Roz is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's animals and cares for an orphan baby goose. That is the long and short of it. I remember seeing this trailer. It was like earlier in the year. And I was like, oh my gosh, this looks freaking amazing. So we're going to talk about it. So Devin, what are your initial thoughts, your initial reactions after seeing The Wild Robot last night?
Yeah, going into this one, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really have a lot of knowledge going into this one about what this movie was or who made it or what it was about, but I do remember, like you said, seeing a trailer earlier in the year and just how amazing it looked visually. So going into this one, I was looking forward to that. I definitely agree that it looks amazing, and I'm glad to say that the story holds up as well, because there's a great story here attached to the great visuals. Lupita Nyong'o plays the friendly robot Roz that pops up on this this wilderness planet, I guess you can call it, and she just kind of becomes the mother to a young. I didn't really know Gosling was the baby version of Goose, but it does make sense.
Yeah, it kind of does. It does.
I know Ryan was a goose, but I guess he is a silly goose.
If you really squint like really hard, you might be able to see it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of good character moments between these three main characters we have here in Roz, Bright Bill, and Fink, played by Lupita Nyong'o, Kit Connor, and Pedro Pascal, respectively. I love Pedro Pascal as the sly fox. He has the perfect voice for that, just kind of being sneaky and annoying everyone the entire time.
He was great.
It is really just a beautiful world the entire time, and that's just kind of what carries and leads the way for this film. Because like I said, the story and the characters are amazing as well, but I think the visuals are kind of like mind-blowing. Like it's got like that hand drawn / hand painted type of art style that seems pretty rare nowadays, and it pops off on the screen so well. Especially towards the end, there's like some flames and some fire effects that just look so cool. Obviously, it does remind me of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which is also DreamWorks, of course.
Yeah.
I wore my Shrek shirt to the movie. It's DreamWorks, and I got quite a few compliments. Everyone loves Shrek.
There you go.
And I was actually looking up afterwards. I saw that it was written and directed by Chris Sanders. I wasn't sure who that was, but he is quite the legend in animation, apparently. Looking at his filmography here. Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, Mulan, The Croods. Just, he's got a lot under his belt. Now he's got The Wild Robot, which might be his biggest hit of all, hopefully.
Yeah, man, Chris Sanders is, like you said, he is a animated legend. Like, he helped write How to Train Your Dragon, The Croods, Mulan, Lilo and Stitch. Like you just mentioned, it's insane. And he did some work with The Lion King as well, if I'm not mistaken, and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. Like, he is very well known. And I was actually watching Chris Stuckman's review earlier, and I thought he brought up a lot of good points, saying how, he, as much as he adored this movie, and I did too. I was able to snag the last extra large Wild Robot shirt, which I'm actually wearing right now. I've been wearing it all day. Like, I just came back from the gym this morning, and I just felt inspired.
Just get that warm robot embrace.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, this movie, it is, for those who don't know, this is based off of a children's book, although it's not very well known. And that is where the credit for Peter Brown comes in, because he is the he is the original author of The Wild Robot. But yeah, it's, the animation, you kind of already touched on it, where it looks so vibrant, so beautiful, and showcasing the animation on an island was probably one of the best things that they could do, because this is just the elements of nature, working in its own way, where, there's spring, summer, fall seasons. We get to see all 4 seasons pretty much play out within this island, even though they don't necessarily tell you where they are, but that part's not as important. But when I went to go see this last night, of course, it was a fan screening with, critics who were also able to go. And I gotta tell you, man, my entire audience ate this up. There was a standing ovation towards the end. Everyone was standing up, clapping. They absolutely loved it. I did not know how funny this movie was going to be. It is sharply written. And, for usually when it comes to animated kids movies, it's something as poignant as emotional as this. It's definitely going to tug on the heartstrings. A lot of the themes of this movie is, it is about parentage and family. And
I was gonna say, if you're a parent, like, this one's definitely gonna hit, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that
I was almost tearing up.
Yeah, I mean, it worked on us, and we don't even have kids, so I can imagine taking your kids and seeing this might hit even harder.
It is pretty amazing how, the stacked cast behind this, they were just able to have so much fun. Like, Kit Connor's Bright Bill, and like you even mentioned Mark Hamill. He makes an appearance. Not going to tell you who it is, but if you can, sniff out his voice, then you'll know right away.
And I'm always a big fan of Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows, and his voice is always very welcomed.
Oh yeah, the paddle. He was the was it the not the gopher.
Beaver.
The beaver. Yeah, the beaver. And then Stephanie Sue, she also makes an appearance in this movie. Didn't know it was her until the end credits. But it's always nice to go into a film and you don't know who's who necessarily. Like, a few people, but not everyone.
Yeah,
but
all I really knew while I was watching was Lupita and Pedro. Everyone else was just a mystery. But they all did a great job.
And I think also Chris Zuckman had mentioned during his review, like he felt like I think he had mentioned it, and I'm paraphrasing here. He's saying, you know, for a movie like this, he feels like he knows it's a good movie, but he also has to champion for it because he wants people to go see this. He doesn't know if people were going to, if this is going to do well in the box office, basically, because, you know, it's not the fact that it's animated. It's the fact that it's not a Disney animated film. So a lot of people usually tend to write those off. But I do agree with him when he was saying, he said this is his favorite animated film of the year. And I was like, I think this has taken over Inside Out 2 for me, because I did rewatch that recently with some friends. And I did enjoy it as much as I did the first time. But there's something about this movie where, you know, it's all about the bonds, the friendships that you make, you know, the what is like the meaning of family. And it really literally is like this fish out of water thing, because you have Roz, who is this helper robot where, you know, her job is to complete these tasks. She has to assist. That is what she was built for, was to assist humanity in completing tasks. And it's very clever how she becomes like attuned and akin to nature with communicating with the other animals, like how that whole scene plays out. I thought that was amazing. So overall, like, to say, I know I'm long-winded here, but this is definitely my favorite animated movie of the year so far. Like you said, Devin, the visuals are fantastic. I would love to see this in IMAX. I'm not sure if it is in IMAX or not, but there's a lot of story beats where I thought it was just going to be X, Y, and Z, and then, okay, we're done. But then it ended up not being that. Like, there was a lot of unexpected twists and turns. And then I was like, oh, that's clever. Okay, I see what they're doing. And I was like, I was hoping there was going to be more. And there was. Because I was like, this doesn't feel like the end. It feels like it could have been the end, but not really. But it kept going. And I was just...
for a while there, it did feel like we were getting to the climax, but then it just kind of kept going in like a good way.
That ending shot, dude, that got me. It got me so hard. It's crazy. It is crazy.
I think the thing I would be worried about is I'm not sure how much DreamWorks is marketing this one, because I haven't really seen too much around it, especially leading up to it. So hopefully it can be definitely more of a word of mouth thing where everyone talks about how amazing it is, and that kind of gains traction, similar to what happened with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, where there weren't any expectations for that, but people started seeing it and talking about it, and it ended up making almost 500 million. So hopefully this one can be similar.
I want the Wild Robot to Transformers 1 is a great movie, and that's something we recently reviewed here on the show. I believe it's not doing super well in the box office, because it's going up against Beetlejuice, but I remember, again, Chris Zuckman was talking about this on his review, saying that he's not sure how well the Wild Robot's going to compete with all these other movies, just how like Transformers 1 and, Beetlejuice coming out, where it's like Beetlejuice is outperforming Transformers. And I'm not sure if it's a animated thing where, again, like I mentioned earlier, if it's not a Disney animated or Pixar film, then people aren't going to go see it. But I feel like we've seen enough evidence to where people will go see movies like that, such as TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, Across the Spider-Verse, and even The Boy and the Heron for Hayao Miyazaki's film. So I feel like there are people out there who want to see it, but I do agree. I don't think that Universal has been marketing it as much as they could have, because this film did open at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 8th. So that was really the first time people were actually able to see it. But I love how we're able to get this concept that it's not necessarily a new concept, because this is based off of a book, but it's not a very well-known book.
It definitely feels new, because it just, obviously the art style is so refreshing, and just how the visuals come off the screen, it looks so amazing. But then also it just feels like obviously we're working with a robot here, like an advanced robot that isn't very normal, but all the other characters and animals are all just, they feel so grounded, like they're just doing what the actual animals would be doing out in the wild. Like it's not like way out there like some of the other like Disney animals or anything like that. They're more grounded.
And it's nice because this movie, much like Transformers 1, doesn't really feature any human characters. You know what I mean? Like none of the characters.
Yeah, there's none.
Yeah, like and I think that plays to its strength as well, because this is about an intelligent robot out in the wild, out in the wilderness, you know, roughing it with everyone else. And even though Roz doesn't have the same type of energy source that an organic creature or an organic animal needs to sustain life, you know, she has her own limits for sure. Like she does have to recharge, you know, like she does end up powering down after a long day of work and whatnot. But let's get into our trivia here really quick. There's a few here that I wanted to kind of mention out. First and foremost, this is Lupita Nyong'o's first time voice acting in a feature-length film that is fully animated. And also, according to the author of The Wild Robots, again, like I said, this is based off of a children's book. The inspiration for him for the Wild Robot came from a sketch he did of a robot in a tree, and then he asked the question, what would an intelligent robot do in the wilderness? So I think that's pretty cool. And as I mentioned before, this is based on not a children's book, I shouldn't say, a middle grade novel by the same name by Peter Brown. And there are actually 3 books in Roz's storyline. So we might have another trilogy on our hands.
Yeah, even if the movie definitely sets up a sequel.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. I hope that this does get a sequel, because this is outside of, you know, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, like that is more of a recognizable IP, but it was still a phenomenal animated movie. I think this is something else that DreamWorks can expand upon if they decide to make this a trilogy. I mean, heck, for How to Train Your Dragon, we got 3 of those movies, and now we're getting a live action adaptation of, I believe it is the first film. But those movies are so good. It's like, you know, I never wanted DreamWorks to just be associated with Shrek and like nothing else, even though, you know, they've done things like Joan of Arc and Prince of Egypt, things of that nature, but they've never, and they have a few others. Kung Fu Panda, I think, is another one. One of their other IPs, and I think The Bad Guys and something else.
Trolls,
The Croods as well, I think. Yeah, so, you know, I think this would be a really great world to expand upon, because this was just so freaking breathtaking, and I love how simplistic it is, but how powerful it can.
I mean, sometimes it feels like you're looking at a Bob Ross painting in the background.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks so cool and like relaxing.
The writing was just hilarious.
Yeah, I love the intro. It's like starting off very frenetic, like a fairly frenetic pace, and then the movie like really blows by, like really fast paced, like as far as the story goes, because it's just so much to cover.
And yeah, even though this is based off a middle grade children's book, or just a middle grade book, apparently the character Thunderbolt in this movie was not in the original novel. I'll just leave that at that. And I think that was a really nice touch, knowing that altogether. But also, Lupita Nyong'o, Mark Hamill, and Pedro Pascal have all been a part of the Star Wars franchise as Maz Kanata, Luke Skywalker, and The Mandalorian, respectively. Had to throw in a little bit of Star Wars trivia there for you guys. If you don't know who Lupita Nyong'o plays in Star Wars, she's like the small old lady alien in The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi. She has more of a prominent role in the first in The Force Awakens, though. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And also, we're gonna do one more. Actually, we're gonna do 3 more here. So Dean DeBlois, who was the executive producer on this film, The Wild Robot, never did publicity for the film as he was busy working on his passion project, which is the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. So DreamWorks must be really putting in some work for that one for sure. So I lied. We're only going to do one more trivia fact here. And actually, no, we're going to do 2 more. I do apologize.
Just going to do all of them?
Well, I found another one that's pretty awesome here. So this is DreamWorks Animation's 9th film to have a female protagonist after Chicken Run that came out in 2000, Monsters vs. Aliens in 2009, Trolls, Abominable, Trolls World Tour, Spirit Untamed, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, and Trolls Band Together. I totally forgot about Ruby Gillman. Still have not seen that movie, but yes, this is the 9th animated film from DreamWorks to have a female protagonist. So I think that's a pretty awesome feat, honestly, the fact that they have so many female protagonists in general. And the last one here is that this is Catherine O'Hara's second DreamWorks animated film after Over the Hedge that came out in 2006, which was also about forest animals. So just wanted to kind of throw that one in there. So those are all the trivia facts I have here for today. There's so many gosh darn good ones, but let's get in to our final thoughts and our ratings here. Devin, what are your final thoughts and ratings for The Wild Robot?
Yeah, as far as final thoughts, I always say the staple of a truly great movie is that the only real complaint I have is that I wanted more of it. Like, I feel like there were certain sections of the movie, specifically when Little Bright Bill is growing up, that I think would have been better, like, expanded upon. Like, even if it was just 5 minutes more, like, I think that could have been very effective emotionally. Just kind of get more attached to the baby version of Bright Bill instead of jumping right to the more teenage version. But really, that's the only complaint I have. I just wish maybe it was even like 5 minutes longer. It would have been great. And it was at 1 hour 40, which is a really nice time to be at for an animated movie. So it's not too bad. But yeah, it's really my only complaint. I just want more, and that's when you know you have a good movie. So as far as score goes, I'll probably give it like a 92 overall. Like it's definitely up there for best of the year.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that point where I feel like, yeah, like I did want more. Like I could have taken like another like maybe 5-10 minutes, even if it was just seeing Bright Bill kind of like grow up, because we see him into adulthood, but it's also tricky. Like, okay, you know, when do you cut off the childhood and go into like adolescence? So it's like it's really hard to balance both of that. But yeah, I wish we would have seen just a little bit more. But you know, it is a kids movie, and you know, kids don't have the longest attention spans. But the kids in my theater ate this up. But I would give The Wild Robot a 95 out of 100. This is a darn near perfect film for me, and like we mentioned before, the animation style is fantastic. The writing is so sharp. It is witty. It is emotional. It is poignant. It is pretty much anything you can ask out of an animated film like this, and I'm happy that DreamWorks was able to put this together along with this star-studded cast who really brought these critters and these characters to life. Like I really enjoyed this. I didn't think, like, I knew I was going to like somewhat enjoy it. I was like, okay, I know what it's about, but like, what is it like about? You know? So I would definitely give this a 95 out of 100. It is probably, it's so raw. It's definitely has surpassed, I would say Inside Out 2 is definitely my second favorite animated film. Granted, we haven't had a lot of animated films this year, but you know, we can get around to that later.
They're starting to pile up.
Yeah, they definitely are, for sure. I'm hoping we some more. But yeah, it was, my God. I just want to see it again, man. I just want to see it again. Like, it's not a long run time. It's just, I feel like I saw everything and missed everything at once, and I'm just like, I just want to go back and watch this again. So I would give this a 95 out of 100. Devin's going to give this a 92 out of 100. So that is going to be a 93.5 is going to be the median. If my math is correct, I could be wrong, but who cares? 93.5 out of 100 for our official podcast score. But please, anyone who like is listening to, please go see this movie. It is incredible. Like, it is everything you would want from a simple storyline. It's easy to follow, and take your kids, take your loved ones. It really puts things into perspective, and the whole can robots love kind of thing, and there's so much to unpack here and uncover and unwind. I really hope that we get a sequel. And if not, that's fine, because I'm just glad that this movie was able to exist. But please go see this movie. Please go see it. Go see it for us. For us, if anything. If not for yourself, go see it for us. But that does conclude today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard on today's episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. And don't forget to share an episode of our podcast with a fellow movie lover out there, whether it be your mother or your brother or your significant other. Spread the love for the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. And now let's take a sneak peek at what you can listen to right now on the show. So you can listen to our Agatha All Along episode 1 and 2 breakdown. And also, by the time that this is out, you can listen to our the Penguin episode 1 breakdown, which is titled After Hours. And if you're looking for more animated goodness coverage, we also covered Transformers 1, putting a nice little new spin on that franchise, pun intended. And, of course, spooky season is right around the corner, so definitely go check out our Speak No Evil review if you have not seen that, as well as our Alien Romulus review and our Beetlejuice review, just to name a few spooky season stuff out there. We also have a few more. We're getting into the spooky season time of year. It's September. I feel like some people are starting to slowly get into it, but like once October hits, it's going to be, I would say, October and November, or at least until Thanksgiving. It's like after Thanksgiving, it's Christmas. I might be watching Christmas movies on November 1st. I don't know. I'm crazy like that. But we also are going to be covering a few more films here on the streaming side. We're going to be covering 2 HBO Max films. One is titled Salem's Lot, and the second one is titled Caddo Lake. Those are both going to be on HBO Max within the first 2 weeks of October, I believe. So I think that would be a pretty cool thing to cover. So we'll be a full spooky season then. And my gosh, there's so much going on right now, but those are the next 2 movies we're going to be covering here on the podcast. And with all that said, thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay connected with us by following us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads for the latest updates. That was Devin, and I'm Christian signing off. And Devin, I think we have completed our tasks here for today. So remember, life is like a movie. So go out there and make it a blockbuster.
Peace.